Hey there, homeschool mom. Do you ever feel overwhelmed by the things you just can't change? Maybe it's your child's learning style, or maybe it's outside criticism, or maybe it's just the interruptions that come at the worst possible time. Today, I want to share how the serenity prayer can anchor you in peace, courage, and wisdom as you walk this homeschooling journey. Hey, homeschool mom. I'm Erika Sagert on the Intentional Homeschooler Podcast with more actionable steps and encouragement for your homeschooling journey so you can confidently and intentionally homeschool your children without sacrificing your sanity. Grab a pen and paper, your favorite cup of brew, and let's get started. Homeschooling can sometimes feel like we're juggling what's in our hands and what's completely outside of them. There's so much in homeschooling that's like completely out of our control, but there are also things we can do, and it's so important to remember and practice that difference. The Serenity Prayer has been such an anchor for me, both in my homeschooling years and in my life now. I actually shared a devotional on this very prayer with our Learning Center staff and families recently because it speaks so deeply into the everyday struggles that we all face. And right now, as I'm recovering from a pretty major foot surgery, I've had to lean on this prayer again. The healing process is completely out of my control, but my attitude, my rest, and my willingness to follow doctor's orders are things that I can do. So today, let's walk together through the Serenity Prayer and see how it speaks directly into the heart of a homeschool mom. So first, serenity, accepting what we cannot change. The prayer begins, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. In homeschooling, there are so many things we wish we could change, but we simply can't. We cannot change other people's opinions and criticism about what we're doing. We can't really change our children's unique learning styles. We can't change their struggles or disabilities. And a lot of times we cannot change the interruptions that happen every single day. I'll be honest, in my own homeschool journey, one of the things that really got to me was our space. We lived in a smaller house, at least I thought it was a smaller house for the number of kids we had, and some days it wore on me. I would find myself thinking, why can't I just have more space? Why can't this be easier? It might sound trivial, but in those moments, it felt huge to me. And yet, God just kept whispering, be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10. And Jesus reminds us, in this world, you will have trouble, but take heart. I have overcome the world. John 16:33. Serenity comes when we rest in God's sovereignty. We don't have to fix everything. We don't have to fight every single battle. We can simply hand it to Him. Number 2, courage. Changing what we can. So the prayer continues. Give me courage to change the things that I can. This is where it gets pretty practical. So there are areas in our life where God is calling us to act, and it takes courage to step into them. For homeschool moms, that might mean setting boundaries with family members who are questioning you. It might mean choosing confidence in front of your children, even when you are feeling unsure inside. Our kids need us to lead with steady assurance. They don't need perfection. They need confident leadership. I remember a season when I kept putting off history lessons. Week after week, it was the thing that never quite fit into our schedule. And after several weeks of this, I finally told myself, we just need to do it. Doesn't have to be perfect. So we did. I stopped saying, we'll get to it later. And instead, I was disciplined to make history part of our rhythm again. Sometimes courage looks like, quote, jumping into the pool, quote. Make that call to the reading tutor. Order that new curriculum that you have decided that you need. Or finally start the curriculum that's been sitting on your shelf unopened. So courage is about moving forward and doing something instead of staying stuck. Number 3, wisdom, knowing the difference. Then the prayer continues and it says, and the wisdom to know the difference. This is the hardest part sometimes, and I feel like this is a lifelong journey for me. I am a hard worker, and so I just want to fix it. I want to come up with a solution, and I often struggle with knowing the difference, and we need wisdom to know the difference. We need wisdom to know if it's time to just wait or to do something. So knowing which things to let go and which things to step into can be very challenging. In homeschooling, these decisions come up all of the time. Do we stick with this curriculum or do we change it? Do we add some outside classes or do we just do everything at home? Do we push through this disagreement with our child or is it time to just let it slide today? This is where wisdom is essential. And wisdom doesn't usually shout, it whispers as we slow down and listen. For me, wisdom came through a daily rhythm of journaling, prayer, and reading scripture. I would pour out my frustrations in the way of journaling, and then I would ask God to speak. I also relied and trusted mentors and friends and, people who would listen to me and help me to see things that I couldn't see on my own. James 1 reminds us, if any of you lacks wisdom, you should ask God, who gives generously to all without finding fault, and it will be given to you. So seek Him daily. Make wisdom a habit, not just a last resort. And surround yourself with a community of people who can walk alongside you. All right, so I find this prayer, the serenity prayer, to hold such a powerful balance. So serenity, release what you cannot change. And it's not only releasing what you cannot change, it's just really sensing God's presence and knowing that He's there and He will give the peace that we need. So being in His presence, listening to hymns, reading His scripture, just focusing on Him will give you that serenity. He says that He gives us peace. We just need to pause and let that peace come over us. Number 2, courage. So act on the things that you can. Make the changes that you are able to make. And number 3, wisdom. Ask God to guide you to know the difference between, do I need to wait on the Lord or do I need to take some action in this area? Even in this season of my own life, recovering from surgery, I'm learning this again. The healing of my foot is completely out of my control. My body literally just has to heal. It needs time to knit together all of this movement that happened in my foot. There's a lot to be healed. My body has to do that. I literally have no control over that part. But what I do have control over is I can rest, I follow instructions, and I trust God through the process. That's where I can act. And it's kind of funny because in this particular instance, it's less about me acting and it's more about me sitting and putting my foot up and being okay with that, which is a very different thing for me. And I am learning how to rest, and I am learning how important it is in some seasons. Literally, right now, rest is the best thing I can do. It keeps the swelling down and it allows my body the energy it needs to heal. So here's a practice that I want to invite you into today, this very moment. So I want you to write down the serenity prayer. I'm going to read it slowly. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. I want to say that again. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And now, under serenity, I want you to list one thing right now. Pause this podcast. I want you to list one thing that you need to release to God. You know what it is. Maybe it's the fact that your family members do not agree with your homeschooling decision. Do you need to release that to God? Because you cannot do anything about that. Ask Him to give you peace over that. Does your child have a learning disability? Do you need to just really in your soul learn to accept that? Ask God to help you. Ask Him to give you peace about that. Write it down. Under courage, I want you to write one thing you will take action on this week. Is it that history lesson that you're just not getting to? You keep putting it off because you cannot plan it out perfectly to save your life. It's not perfect, so you're not taking action on it. Well, something you can do is to just do it. It doesn't have to look perfect. Just get through the lesson. Maybe that's the action you need to take, but for you, it might be different. Write that action down that you're going to take this week. Under wisdom, write one decision that you need God's guidance for. Write out a prayer. Ask Him, Lord, do I need to seek a reading tutor for my daughter who is really struggling to read? Give me wisdom. Help me to know what to do in this situation. My child is not understanding math, and I don't know what to do. Lord, please give me wisdom in that area. So write it down. And if you're in the car right now and you can't write this down, I encourage you, I implore you, when you get home, when you get to a place where you can write some things down, write these things down. Write something that you need to release to God. Write something that you need to do, and write down an area where you need God's wisdom. He will help you with these things, and by writing it down is the first step to taking care of it. On those rough homeschooling days, when you feel overwhelmed, give your kids something quiet to do and go back to that list that you just made. Pray it. Refocus on God and let Him remind you that you're not doing this alone. If you're still on the fence about homeschooling, don't wait. Take my free, personalized, AI-powered assessment, Can I Really Homeschool? It's quick, it's personalized, and could be the clarity that you've been praying for. The link to this assessment is in the show notes, so go check it out right after this episode. You can also follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, as well as right here, where a brand new episode drops every other Thursday. Until next time, you've got this, Mom.